Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 45 of Podcast of Five Rings, your source of enlightenment in the realm of video games, tabletop, anime, film, and tech. Each episode of Podcast of Five Rings releases Monday mornings on iTunes and Soundcloud, and now topic by topic, day by day on YouTube, with the full video releasing on Friday. To catch updates about the podcast or for other news, give us a follow on your social media platform of choice, listed in the description below. I'm your host, GM, and overseer of Podcast of Five Rings, Obsidian. And I'm joined tonight by the Dark Fortune Duelist Meta.
Meow.
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 The resident wild card, Meow.
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 Tetsuo's not with us tonight because he's been having a rough week this week at work.
Oh, yeah.
I think he's been working overtime every day.
He has, I think, been nearly every day. I haven't even heard anything from him in the evenings, so...
Yeah.
It's like he dropped off the face of the map.
He's outside mowing or something.
I did send him a message today, and I just said, "Hey, dude, how you holding up?" And he just responded. He's like, "Dude, I'm just sorry. I've been just busy so much." And I'm like, "Dude, no, you don't have to. No apologies on your part, man. It's your job."
Why are you apologizing?
Yeah, why are you apologizing?
For laughing.
I was like, but he's alive. He's well. They have been feeding him. They've given him water. He is allowed to go on walks.
His cats are walking him.
So. They've refilled his his food bowl. So
with those marinara meatballs.
Oh God, please, dude! I saw those things. And I was like, I want to do them now.
Yeah, I think we talked about them 3 times during recording now. So, anyways,
but they look so good.
Yeah, they
He was supposed to come over and make them, and then his mom summoned him away.
Oh, gotcha.
That's how my roommate
by
put
your
it.
parents.
Yeah.
They always get you, don't they?
They do. Worst times, too.
Yep. It's been pretty slow all week, except for today. It was randomly busy.
My week has been incredibly fast. There's been points where I've looked at the clock and I'm like, oh shit, it's almost time to level.
Yeah, the days have gone by fast, but I finally got through all of the Kingdom Hearts games that I haven't played now, other than Coded, which I'm just never going to play because there's no point to that game.
So,
No.
The whole point of the game is to find out that you need to save the guys from Birth by Sleep. But yeah, I played through Dream Drop Distance now, and 0.2 is it a fragmentary pass? I don't know the name.
it's 2.8?
2.8 is the whole collection. But now we have 0.2, a fragmentary passage, and I think Dream Drop Distance. Dream Drop Distance, as I said I think I was telling this when Mal and I were recording Pokemon the other night, Dream Drop Distance is the worst Kingdom Hearts game by far.
Really?
Yeah, it was almost going to become my topic, but then we got surprised with some news yesterday, but which we'll get to later.
It is Kingdom Hearts 0.2 Birth by Sleep, a fragmentary passage.
And that was a lot of fun. I'm sad it was as short as it was.
Sons of the Patriots.
Exactly.
That's the one that's basically a demo for 3, right?
Yes, and
Yeah,
the gameplay, it takes the cool parts of Birth by Sleep where you go into the forms when you build your meter and stuff.
Yep.
But it keeps the way Kingdom Hearts 2 plays. Just hopefully they'll add like drop forms back. I don't think they are. I think you're going to have like your Keyblade forms where he gets like the yo-yos and stuff, but
Like I said, I think the best mechanical system in the background, not like the gameplay, but the mechanical system comes from Birth by Sleep. Because just the ability to customize yourself in a form or manner, or to choose like how you want your loadout to be to build up those bars, really good.
yeah.
But as from playing 0.2 or whatever the hell, definitely like the gameplay style, very probably.
Yeah, and I think I'll get used to the graphical uphaul too. At first I was like, I like the old style, but literally after playing it for like an hour, I was like, okay, I can get used to this.
It'll be fine. You won't notice by the end of it.
One day I'll start playing video games again.
Poor Mal. I'm going to, I think...
Just haven't felt like it.
Yeah, I think I'm going to finish my playthrough of my second playthrough of FF15 now. Is what I'm
The greatest game ever known to mankind.
Exactly, and now it's even greater because we have all these updates. All
Have
these
any of us
updates, Meta.
played the
Did you know you can
multiplayer
play as Prompto and Gladiolus now?
I would not play as Prompto.
I
I
wouldn't
do
either.
not like his gameplay.
Can I? Has
Iggy?
any of us played the multiplayer?
Yeah, I played the multiplayer.
I haven't played it yet. We need to do that.
We do need to do that.
It's got more story stuff.
Yeah, I have the season
really?
pass. So
Yeah, it
How
kind
did-
of
what was-
explains stuff happening during the 10 years.
What was your your brief thoughts?
Well, I played before they updated it the first time, so I mean, but it's like it's something you'd want to play with people really, because it's just fighting things basically, and then like going back to base,
it's like
doing
doing
some
hunts,
stuff,
basically, right?
and then going down to fight again.
That is very oddly Monster Hunter-ish.
Yeah, kinda.
Just less intuitive combat.
It is.
Well, yeah, just with Final Fantasy or 15 combat.
Yeah.
But I thought they were done adding story stuff, and then they came out with this Royal Edition, which adds more stuff to the last chapter or whatever.
Oh my god, seriously?
And then we're gonna get our glorious Lord and Savior Arden Azunia will come down and show us a lot in a DLC where we get to play as him.
Yeah.
And backstab all the peoples and twirl our mustaches.
I wonder if it'll be like far in the past, or if like just right before the game starts, or what he's doing during the game.
Yeah, I would like it in the past because it implies that he's the guy on the front of that book.
Right.
That gets his because Shiva's there and Bahamut's on the front of the book. And it talks about how he was like the first king who had the power that Noctis has or whatever to like heal people and save the world or whatever, but he strayed from the path. It was something like that. I don't remember all my Final Fantasy 15 lore. That's why I'm going back and replaying the game. So I got to experience that magic again, man.
To be fair, it's really hard to like get all the lore because half of the game doesn't exist.
Hey, it all exists now. Year and a half after it came out. I will not have you badmouth the greatest gaming experience of my adult life.
Of the PlayStation
Persona 5.
I was gonna say, like, you forgot Persona 5. What happened to that?
Oh my god. All right, well, let's get on to topics here. We got some pretty big news that I didn't even know about till I woke up to it this morning. That Mal's going to start us off with here, so why don't you go on ahead?
Well, a few days ago, Paizo finally announced that they are doing Pathfinder 2nd Edition.
Which is huge!
It is.
Yes.
Holy
and
why haven't I seen anyone talking about this on Twitter?
I don't know.
It's so weird too. I just thought the same thing. I haven't seen like anybody talk about it. I didn't even know. They didn't even put like I haven't seen anything on like feeds of it. It doesn't show up on like Reddit at all.
Not on Kotaku. I didn't see it on there.
Yeah, it didn't show up like in anything. I'm like, this is
I
actually.
don't remember how I found it.
A buddy of mine actually linked it in one of my other my Discord channel. Like they just happened to link it because they just saw it on their feed on Facebook because they have Paizo as one of the feeds that they follow.
I think I don't even know how I found it, but I did. Luckily, now I know.
And knowing is half the battle.
Right, and they said the why was because they started in 2008. And so they've been doing this for nearly a decade, and when it finally comes out next year, it'll be 10 years of Pathfinder.
Yep,
it's a nice round number.
Yeah,
it's a good number. It's a lot of time. I mean, anybody who's played these games long enough knows that like it was bound to. You're eventually just going to get a new edition.
4th edition L5R has almost been out for 10 years. I think it was like 2009 or 2010.
It's the perfectly imperfect edition.
They felt they had things they could improve upon, such as like archetypes as their go-to example, which weren't introduced until Advanced Player's Guide a full year after the core book.
Yep.
And they generally assume everyone uses them, yet they appear nowhere in the core book. So stuff like that. Let's see. They've announced like a bunch of little like there's on their Paizo.com /Pathfinder playtest, they've got like a bunch of changes, but they're kind of some of them are smaller than other, obviously.
Yeah.
Well, I guess so. The playtest actually, people will be able to download it for free August 2nd. And then you can buy this is a little weird, like you can buy physical playtest books at Gen Con.
I always thought I thought that was really weird too, because like I said, I was looking over to Lily and I was like, do you want to get a copy? And because I was like, but like, I don't understand why they're offering like hardcover and they have a special edition hardcover for this. I'm like, it's a playtest book. It's not even the actual final
Right.
product. Why would you spend that kind
I
of
mean,
money?
they're
on
coming
that?
out with an actual adventure and a map pack.
All for the playtest.
Right.
The map pack will like save you though like forever because it's just
Yeah,
gonna be
yeah,
a
it's-
square grid. So that's fine, whatever. But like I'm just blown away by the fact that they would make these extra editions for a playtest.
So they didn't say like it's releasing when second edition will actually release, but they said that they have Pathfinder 1 content all the way up until August of 2019, and with that being Gen Con, I think we can all assume
safe,
that
yeah.
that is when it will actually release, is
They're
Gen
gonna
Con 2019.
Absolutely.
So this will give people a year, like I mean, if people want to adopt it for their play group, like I guess having a physical book will be nice.
I mean, you can also if you also want to now, you can also look at the Unchained
Yeah.
edition because it actually has a rule system that uses almost something.
I think they've taken a couple things from it, honestly. Like so.
I mean, honestly, it's probably just a more like for the actual playtest beta version, probably just gonna be just a more polished version, and that is with spells and actions designed around that action system.
Right.
As
I
opposed
do wonder
to one being converted backward.
I do wonder how much will change. Like if they're putting
I don't
out
know.
a physical copy, like I wonder how much they're actually going to change, or at least tell you what they're changing.
Hopefully, they wouldn't be charging like a full book price for it either.
Oh,
no,
they
I would
are.
hope no.
Like
Oh,
$20 or something.
Have they
maybe.
dropped the price for it already?
I thought I saw a price.
I didn't see any prices yet. I mean, they don't have one on their main page. At
Let's
least
see.
when I checked. So
Yeah, sorry. Pre-order form. Soft cover $30, hardcover
Holy shit.
$45.
Holy shit!
Deluxe version $60.
What?
What?
Which the
Why?
deluxe version is faux leather.
Get your deluxe version. This is the Final
the beta
Fantasy
playtest.
15 of role-playing games. Let me tell you.
Right.
Pathfinder 2e, I don't want to hear anyone talking crap about it. Carry on.
It was
the best. So as Meta was sort of going towards the biggest thing, and which is the first thing they did a blog post on yesterday, which would have been Wednesday, March the 7th, is that they're changing the action economy and how actions work. So
Yeah, I'm
they're
trying
getting
to
rid
read
of
through this
all
now.
like the 7 types of actions that there are.
Which I think is good. I don't like all the different action types personally.
Yeah, everything is now an action, and you get 3 actions. And then the caveat being that there will be some amount of things that don't take an action, like dropping or talking, like which were free actions before. And then also some things will take like 2 actions. Like spells by default will take 2 actions to accomplish, whereas an attack is still just 1 action.
Or it can do magic missiles, and it does different stuff depending on how many actions you use, which I think is cool.
Yeah, so I assume, and then like Scorching Ray is probably the same, which they actually in Starfinder, they kind of have that with the magic missile, where it does like 1 missile unless you take your whole turn, and it does 3 missiles.
Which I actually kind of like that in a way.
Yeah.
It's actually pretty interesting.
Yeah, it makes it more strategic, like the
Yeah.
choices you can make and stuff. It's not just I move, I cast magic missiles. It's like, do I want to stand still and I'll get more bang for my buck, or is it worth moving here?
Right.
Those are I like more interesting kind of strategic choices like that.
I like a little bit of variety in my variety. If you
Yes. So now you don't so for new players, they don't have to learn all the 7 types of actions.
yeah.
Now opening a door, drawing a weapon, reloading a crossbow, moving up to your speed, raising your shield, taking a guarded step, or swinging your great axe, all 1 action.
All of that in 1 action. Wow, this game's
is
really kind of you.
So and also you get 1 reaction, which all characters get 1 reaction when the conditions are right, and not everyone will have a reaction they can use during combat, which kind of means that everyone might not be able to take an attack of opportunity, it seems.
Yeah, that was something that was really.
Some people are like, on, but I think in first edition of D&D, I think everyone still could, but like Wizards had could do almost nothing with their attack of opportunity or something like that.
I think one of the they actually stated was that the characters will actually have different options with the reaction. Like depending on your class, it will actually define like what you can do with your reaction,
which is also cool in my opinion.
Like, let's say you're playing a paladin with a shield, and you have spent an action to defend yourself with that shield. Not only does this boost your armor class, it also lets you take a special reaction if you are hit by an attack. This shield block reduces the damage taken up to the amount of your shield's hardness. And just some people were like, oh, so shields are useless unless you take an action, and people were like, that's stupid. But actually, it's been revealed that you still get the armor bonus from a shield. This just does more on top of that.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
It makes you feel more like a tank.
Right. It does. The other thing I actually like was the fact that like your shield has a hardness rating that actually reduces the damage if you ready that shield and defend with it. It also reduces the damage you just take in general. That is really cool. I always thought it was really weird that your shield just made it harder to hit. But this can be like, oh, even if they do hit you, you had your shield, so like you kind of helped, deflect the blow a little bit and reduce the damage. It makes it worthwhile to really pick up the shield. Which I almost never see in any game.
Yes.
I almost never seen that.
Monsters will also have their own kind of reactions, like an Earth Elemental, for example, can spend its reaction to, after being hit, to crumble into a pile of rocks, auto-burrowing into the ground.
Yeah, that makes monsters more interesting, too.
Right. So yeah, I like the new action system.
Yeah, it seems really cool.
Yeah.
It just, someone who plays like Gishes, being able to possibly use a buff and still get off an attack or something in a turn seems neat.
The only thing I'm kind of wondering is, does this mean that melee classes are going to actually have reduced attack actions?
Yeah.
Especially those that are pure.
So things like if they use from Unchained had a thing for two hands and like Fury of Blows, which was you get to attack twice on your first attack action. So they could end up doing something like that.
That might be it.
Also, they said that they are really one of their goals is definitely making the gap between spellcasters and marshals smaller, right? Like,
yeah,
that's something everyone always talks about.
It's needed. I mean, it's to be honest, like the age and day of the spellcaster starting really weak at the beginning and then being a god among mortal men at the end is just not fun, because you end up finding
also just not what happens. Like
it's not.
Since 3rd edition, like you can use sleep at level 1 and just in combats.
Yeah, so it's not even like it matters.
Right. But yeah, so they said that they're redesigning spells to ensure that they are of the right power when first acquired, but will diminish in utility over time, giving spellcasters the tools they need to contribute while giving other characters a chance to shine with their abilities.
See, I gotta ask like what that means though, because they say like they're the right power when you get them, but they lose utility as you go on.
Right.
But
I mean,
how does that?
It might be something like in 5th edition to where they don't scale natively to damage.
I see what you're saying. So you'd have to cast it like on a higher level,
right? Yeah. Or something like that.
Awesome.
Also, they're going to attempt to give martial characters more versatility and power, whatever that means. I mean, like stuff like just being able, like martial characters naturally being better at like the combat maneuvers, which they kind of tried, but then really didn't work out well. But like stuff like you can always do it, but it's not going to be as powerful as a spell. Like you can always just grab some dirt and throw it in their eyes.
Yeah.
But
they're
which is like the dirty trick in Pathfinder. But you still would like need a feat and stuff to like specialize in it. So
they're also getting rid of CMB and CMD action.
Yeah. And
which I know like that's always had kind of mixed views on it, but
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm curious to see how all that'll work.
I think they're replacing it with just like pure acrobat.
Right. They also want to like I guess consolidate some of the where all the stats come from and stuff.
Yeah.
Like let's see what they say. All of the varied systems and formulas for determining your character's bonuses and statistics, like saving throws, attack bonuses, and skills, have been unified into a single, easy-to-use proficiency system based on your choices and your character's level.
See, I'm a little worried about that. I actually kind of enjoyed having a lot of systems, but I know that might be just me, the minority.
Yeah, I think there still will be plenty. I don't know.
I have to wait and see on that.
Yeah, it's the.
I mean, yeah,
there's a lot to
obviously
wait and see.
I just,
but-
it's like you can only go off so much by what they say on there. It's like it's preemptive thoughts, and like it's just like the same thing we said for like when we did the L5R beta. Like we'll wait and see to really know before we do anything about it. But this is the initial thought.
Yeah,
They're going to be previewing classes and stuff. I'm sure, aren't they?
I'm sure over time, leading
yeah.
up to Gen Con.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's going to be all the core classes and the Alchemist because that's their favorite class.
The Alchemist is being added to the core.
Yes, which I like. I mean, I like the Alchemist. I don't really mind what's in core. I really like the Alchemist. They also said that all the races, which you will now be called your ancestries when you go through character creation. They're adding the Goblin to the core book, which because they love their goblins, but that's something I'm not huge on.
I think it was the Goblin module actually did really well. I could be completely wrong, but
they like it's obvious Paizo loves goblins because of all the goblin stuff they do.
Oh,
yeah, it's all over everything.
Their
like,
own bias aside,
they like even came out with like their own like special little figures or like blind boxes for goblin characters and stuff.
That's adorable.
Yeah, and all their free, like all their like free modules and stuff were goblin, or they had a few goblin based ones. But I just don't care for it in core because usually people's default for goblins is kill it on sight.
Yeah, that would be definitely a thing.
And they said they're going to integrate lore more into the core, the rule book. So I'm curious to see what but they said it wouldn't really like the Galarian lore stuff wouldn't be changing. So I'm curious to see how they reconcile that with goblin player characters.
I'm a little like one of the things I do really enjoy about Pathfinder though is like how it's very detached from the lore.
Mm-hmm.
You can just they're very like whenever they create a city or setting, you can read it up. It tells you what that city is, what it's about, and then that's really it. It gives maybe a little bit of brief history on just like how it kind of got to the city it was today, but it's always very detached from things. So it really just gives you a setting and a place and people, and you can decide what to do with that as how you see fit. Whereas like L5R, it's like, okay, this city was like this is how it came to be. It was affected by the Shadow Dragon at this point, and then some Ronins fought over it. It's like that kind of.
The core book doesn't really have a lot of that in it, but I mean, they have lots of stuff on their locations. Like they have a lot of companion stuff on it.
Right, but you have to actually buy all those companions and whatnot. Right. But the major rule books that in and of themselves don't do that. So unless you go out of your way to buy the campaign or the setting companion books, which you really don't need unless you really want to learn about the lore and go into and expand the game beyond the rule books. That's what I liked.
I assume it's going to be like Starfinder, and I didn't have an issue with how that was integrated in.
No, Starfinder was fun too. So if it's like Starfinder, it should be fun.
Yeah,
at least for me anyway.
For the most part, like the Pathfinder core book is all really light. Which I mean, I guess 3.5 was too. Like it was technically in Greyhawk, or I think it was for 3.5. I
think it was Greyhawk.
But you wouldn't really know it.
No. I mean, there was also, like you say Greyhawk, but there was also like Magic of Faerun.
Yeah, I'm saying the core setting. The core.
Oh, okay, the core setting
was Greyhawk or whatever for 3.5.
Greyhawk.
Now in 5th edition, it's now Faerun.
Is it Faerun now for 5th?
Yep, for core. Yeah, the default core is.
Did Eberron like ever really take off, or did they just kind of set aside?
Eberron was like was really popular in 3.5. It was like a fan thing, I think, that got official or something. I can't remember, but they haven't made anything for it really or for much in 5th edition. They had some like Unearthed Arcana stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they're like I don't think it's going to end up being a lot like 5th edition. I think they might simplify it a bit similar to 5th edition, but also the amount of content they pump out, I don't think will. I think it's going to end up being a lot different from 5th edition in that regard. I know one of the biggest complaints that I've seen people who love Pathfinder and don't like 5th edition is a lot of the classes end up, or a lot of the classes, as in like the rogues, all kind of look the same. Not like all the characters look the same, like in fourth
Yeah.
edition problem.
No, I get what you're saying. Yeah, they kind of end up being the same thing. I don't like I like archetypes, I really do, and I think fifth edition does a wonderful job of like simplifying stuff. It does, but once you pick rogue and once you pick that kind of route you go, you're really just a rogue that's also assassin-ish. You're a rogue that's also thiefy-ish. It's never like this is a full-on thief. You are about stealing shit, and here are archetypes to make you better in certain areas about it.
Yeah. Whereas, Pathfinder is also adding backgrounds, which I think are going to have, which made it sound like
5e backgrounds a little bit.
Well, not exactly, because it also sounds like it's going to affect your starting scores, your like stats. That will not that.
So probably more like Starfinder then, I guess.
Right. But they also said it won't be exactly like that. But we haven't seen it yet.
I'm interested why they call it ancestry, because it still sounds like, and I mean, there's even one of the articles I was reading, I was like, it even states from Paizo, it's like it's just choosing your race. So
yeah, I don't know.
Term. No, it's nitpicky, but I don't understand that.
Some other like bullet points were 10th level spells and 4 spell lists. Which is I don't know what they mean by 4 spell lists, as in like.
I think that was just for the beta they're going to show.
Well, yeah, this is for the playtest, so this will be the core. So I don't know if that means like divine 10th level, arcane 10th level, and then like divine half and arcane half or whatever casters like that, or probably not.
Are druids considered divine or arcane?
Yes. What it'll actually probably be is nature, which was ranger and druid, and then ranger will only get up to certain spell levels. And then the other kind of divine, which is like clerics and paladins, and then the arcane casters and bard it's the 4th probably, or alchemist.
Possibly.
Yeah. Well, either alchemist will have its own, or bard will have its own. Sure.
There was infusion, like if you were to think about it like in that regard, it'd be infusions, which would be alchemist style, nature, divine, arcane.
Right. It might be that, or bards might get their own, because
bards might get their own.
Bards have their own already in Pathfinder, and or do alchemists have their own? Yeah, I guess they do too.
They do.
It's like it's like a weird wizard sort of thing.
It plays by like the style of arcane and what it does, but it is its own list. Like it has its own spells.
Archetypes and multi-classing will be in it by default. I assume prestige classes will not show up in any regards. They never really cared for them.
No.
Classic monsters and magic, combat maneuvers that rock, easier to play, Galarian infused. Oh yeah, the innovative initiative system. My guess from what I've seen is that they're getting rid of Dex for initiative, which is probably needed because I think Dex just outshines Strength in all regards. This is so. I think the default seems to be Persuasion. Or not persuasion, perception.
Let me go first.
Let me go. Persuade the DM to go first.
Perception is already considered the best skill, so I would hope everyone just is automatically proficient in it, if it is, since it's the default. But if you're like stealthing already, like you would use stealth for your initiative, your stealth skill.
Turns out the ability to see and hear is really good.
Right. And it makes sense that all adventurers should probably have some level of understanding about your paying attention to your environment.
No, I will forever dump Wiz and never have any ranks in perception.
You joke, but I play.
You will go last.
It's all my characters never.
Don't worry,
perception or Wiz.
Improved initiative will solve all your problems.
Well, you say that. From what they've said, it seems like classes are getting their feats are restricted to classes.
Yeah.
Which could mean that it's a system sort of like what is it? What is rogue talents? Where basically everyone has their own rogue talents, sort of.
Are we talent trees now from World of Warcraft?
Or if it'll be like a mix, maybe with older feats like improved initiative, and there's some crossover. I'm curious to see which one it is.
I'm wondering if there's going to be like a general core set of feats that anybody can take, but then there's feats that are like, oh, you need to be this class to take.
Right. New background system, production values. Oh yeah, they're spending a lot of money on it compared to the core book. They're spending more on art, which is all Wayne Reynolds, who does Pathfinder art basically.
Yep, that's his life now.
Well, he also does Magic cards.
No, it's all Pathfinder now.
But they're spending more on paying him for art, I guess, or like the art budget is more than the original budget for the whole core book from Pathfinder 1.
Holy shit.
But that's because they already owned all of the art before they made the core book. They had already owned all that art because they were originally a third-party D&D company.
Yish.
Rebalance magic items. That's the other thing they talk about when they talked about the proficiency bonus, which I let's see, what was it? You no longer need to collect specific sets of magic items to be a balanced character, relying on specific magical statistics bonuses. Instead, you will get all your bonuses you need from regular armor and weapons, allowing the rest of your items to be truly wondrous. And I think this is going to work out similar to another system that is already in the Unchained book.
Which is?
Basically, your core, like the +1 or 2 or whatever weapons and armor, the resistance items, and then like the deflection rings are all built into your leveling up.
Really?
In the Unchained version, so that all of your magic items get to have unique abilities, and you don't have to worry about the stats part of them, which I really like because I love having weird like items.
I don't know, like it's ever been an issue for. I guess it's never something that's like come up as an issue for me because generally I'm just used to having like one item that you kind of have a magic bonus you want. But generally, every game I've played, we've always had like awesome or like interesting, cool items. But I mean, it would be really neat to have.
Yeah, but the game is kind of built on the premise that you will end up getting a +1 sword, +1 armor, that the resistance cloak, the ring of deflection. Like they're all kind of needed. You can't have a character with none of those, and without probably hurting yourself a bit.
Joke's on you.
So I actually like that system because I like being able, like, because whenever I make a character, if it's like a 5th level character, almost all my money goes to those items, and I don't get to buy any different items.
Really? We've had very different experiences then. But I mean, for the part of Magic, I am glad that they're going to be doing like stuff. They want to focus more on like letting your Magic items do some really cool like versatility style things. Because I always like the idea of having a Magic item that does something interesting over just giving a stat bonus in general.
Right. Because you have to have to get a weapon that does anything interesting, you first have to have at least a +1 on it.
Yeah, was
the variant in the Unchained, that is not the case.
Yeah, so it allows you just weapon. I mean, like I've always loved the some of my favorite items are actually just going through like the pre-made weapons because they do really interesting things with them. They always have like cool powers on them and whatnot.
Right.
They're fun, so it's always cool to see like what's attached to them. A focus on that is always a good thing. But I'm not worried. I wonder what they mean by like rebalancing it because technically it's a different system, so there's nothing to rebalance. It's being balanced around a new idea. So I don't know if that means that they're going to go back and like want to take some of the older things and remodify them for this, or if they just mean that like they just want to utilize it system.
I think they just mean that you're not going to have to worry about buying +1 swords. Basically, okay. They'll just have other abilities already instead of the statistical stuff. I mean, it might be just that swords have like a +1. I mean, I guess without being magical.
I do know. I've read that they already stated that there's quality is going to affect. You can have common quality, which adds nothing. You can have like fine quality, which is going to have +1.
Yeah. So then, it'll be that instead.
But that would still mean that you technically would want to buy like a fine quality, a good quality, epic quality. So
it's just not going to be magic, I guess.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be magical to do it, but I guess it kind of just ends up being the same issue then, where you still want to make sure your weapon is giving like a fine quality. You're not losing bonuses.
That's why I like the Unchained version, where it's just built into your leveling up.
I gotta read that book more.
So Alchemist class, Goblin, storytelling. Yeah, that's most of the bullet points, the big ones. There was a what is it? Glass Cannon
Cannon,
podcast
Glass
did,
Cannon podcast.
which is the official Paizo. Like, it's not done by Paizo, but Paizo is like sponsors them basically as the official Pathfinder podcast, and they did a playthrough of it.
Yep. They actually were converting a first edition Pathfinder campaign
the
on
first
the fly.
module
The first one. Yep.
from
And they were
Pathfinder.
doing it on the fly.
Right. So yes, it looks like it shall be easy enough to convert stuff you already have. I mean, you might not be able to do it on the fly like this GM, but you could at least
You
probably end up converting what you've already bought for original Pathfinder, which is pretty nice.
They also made mention, and again, just some of the articles they put out for it, which is like only 2 or 3 now, I think. But they also made mention that they kind of have wanted to cut into like what's considered to be 3 different phases for the game. You have your combat phase, which is the general combat of the game. It's like where everything's happening in seconds and stuff. You have exploration phase, which is essentially where you are exploring through dungeons. It's usually done in like minutes to hours of time. That's generally what's considered to be the exploration phase of things. And you have what's called the travel phase, which is essentially done in like days or weeks of time. And they purposely wanted to kind of give a more central focus to splitting these items apart, so that they could have things that can affect those areas more directly. So like if you're like in the exploration phase, you might have a bonus that says while you're in the exploration phase and you're looking for blah blah blah, you'll have these powers that can be utilized and whatnot. And then there was also things they would say like traveling was another big one they wanted to work on as well, because it's like when you're traveling, there isn't generally a lot to do, but say like 3 days pass by, or you have to wait 4 days. So they wanted players to be like, well, we want to give you stuff to do in your downtime. Crafting is generally one, but that can only be usually normally done by spellcasters. And you can do your profession to earn some money on the side, they said, but they want to do more with it as well. So like if you're traveling, you might be able to forge stuff better. You might be able to pick up some random items and whatnot. If you're in a town or a city and you're just waiting there for a while, you might have some cool stuff that can go on, or encounters or things that might affect you in the later days after your travel period is over. So I do know that they want to kind of specify that. I think I've seen that in another game before, and I don't know, not exactly the same.
Yeah,
but,
I know. I think, was it 5th or maybe even 4th that ended up with the pillars idea of like social combat and exploration?
It might have. I don't remember, but I do know it didn't fully work out all that well.
Yeah, it didn't have like things that specifically targeted them. It's just more of an idea that they built upon.
Yeah, so I don't know if that's going to be like, if that's what they're going to try to aim for here or whatnot.
To see what they do with it.
But I would like, the biggest thing I would honestly just like to see do is like more stuff for downtime, because there is just points in a game where you are traveling and there is nothing to do. And if you have a good roleplay group, you can get into a game where you'll roleplay like some of the nights that you just sit out among the stars, or if you've happened to come across a caravan or something, you might chill out over a campfire. Those moments are great for a role-playing group, but if you're playing more of a group that just likes to like punch things in the face and move on to the next thing, that there's not a lot to do during that time. There's just like, okay, 3 days pass, and that means nothing. It's just like, okay, time's irrelevant, when it should have a little bit more of effect. But I mean, I could be wrong on that. Some might say otherwise, but it's cool to know that there is like at least an idea that we want people to have things to do. So like when your downtime is downtime, you have 3 days past. It doesn't mean that you just have 3 days go by. It means stuff can happen, and that can be beneficial or potentially detrimental to your character. But it is something that's happening that can affect. So trying to think of what else I saw, but I mean,
like I saw like some people have already like compiled like from the podcast and whatnot some like some of the examples of changes, but they're all like lay on hands does so many d4s now or something.
There was I believe they stated you can choose when you're casting, like a cleric can now choose between using 1 action to just immediately cast a spell as a touch spell, 2 actions to cast it as a ranged, or they can spend 3 actions and immediately just heal everybody within a certain area of them. So I think there was something like that.
Yeah, there's quite a few little things that we probably don't want to go over all of them.
Yeah.
Fighters have lots of reactions.
Yep.
Flanking's the same.
Yep.
Um,
There
you
was a
can
lot
crit
of.
on skill checks.
I think the only thing that I thought was really interesting that I do want to bring up is apparently, at least during the podcast, they had a point where apparently if you do 10 damage over, or not 10 damage, if you beat in a creature's AC by 10 or more, you deal double damage to it. It's effectively a crit system now, where instead of rolling a natural 20, if you just go really high over its AC, then you can get double damage.
That must mean what it means here, because for critting on skill checks, because there's also fumble. Like if you get 10 under acrobatics check, you might sprain your ankle or something like that.
Oh. Then there might be like what we call critical success, or
Yeah, and then critical fumble or failure or whatever.
Yep, whatever you want to call it.
Raises in my Pathfinder.
So I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing it in full. August 2nd.
Yep.
Maybe we can run through there, because they're gonna have the Doomsday Dawn adventure thing, which is 7 multi-encounter scenarios. So, and that'll be free to download as well. So maybe we can run through it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'll be there to get potentially actually pick up a copy.
Well, I meant for like monthly modules.
No, I mean,
Yeah.
I know what you meant.
Oh, you're gonna buy it in physical?
I might actually buy the soft cover physical, not hardcover, the deluxe.
Right.
I'm not gonna spend that kind of money for it, but
You don't want the
I
season
do like
pass.
having a physical copy of something. I really enjoy that.
Yeah.
Be able to look at it.
All right.
I'll know what happens.